ex-police dog keeps barking at a tree, which makes investigators suspicious. Welcome to USA Stories channel. Do not forget to subscribe and activate the bell button to receive all new updates. Now let's go to the story. This puppy, Kyle, was born with a devotion implanted in his head as an ex-police dog. Already an elderly German Shepherd as a puppy, Kyle was released of his police dog duties and was now spending his final days in the gorgeous countryside with a breathtaking view, under the tender care of a couple who fell in love with him right away. Given how busy he still is, it is clear that the dog regrets his many years of working as a police dog, especially his long-term companion with whom he had formed a close relationship. Most of his life, Kyle has been John's police officer partner, assisting the police in resolving several murder cases and locating those who have gone missing. Was there ever a chance Kyle would return to his prime? Kyle was born with a certain purpose in mind, and that purpose was already written all over him. He didn't know about it when he was born, but he eventually discovered his life's purpose. Before Kyle could join the service, he had to undergo training. He was naive and young, so it wasn't easy. Although Kyle appeared friendly when attacking and looking for explosives, it quickly became apparent that he was a clever and compliant man. He picked up new information and abilities fast. Kyle possessed the interest and intellect required for effective law enforcement service. Still, it was difficult for Kyle to be very hostile against others. When he left the life of a police dog, he would be allowed to live out his true nature as a lovely dog. When Kyle became a full-time police officer, he had unspoken anxieties and misgivings. It appeared to be a fear of the unknown, a worry of not being able to defend others, and a fear of not being powerful enough. His worries were soon dashed when he was matched with John, with whom he clicked instantly and developed a friendship that became the kind of relationship that people often discuss when discussing relationships between dogs and people. What is frequently unknown to us is the bond that develops between a human and a dog. The relationship created between the two is difficult to break. Although it is customary for police canines to collaborate with as many officers as possible, it was discovered that Kyle was at his most authentic when he was assigned to John. They made excellent companions. Therefore, it was agreed that it was best to leave them together. Typically, police families are home to police dogs. The dog needs this to feel loved, needed, and a part of the family. Kyle was assigned to the family at random. He was not taught how to give hugs and kisses, which at first surprised him, but later he learned as well. It was the ideal fit. Kyle thought he was the only one who was the family since he received excellent care. However, the couple learned one day that they would soon become parents. It was inevitable that things would change. Because of the potential for dog aggressiveness, some parents do not want their dogs to be around infants. The pair did not want to jeopardize the health of the unborn child. The couple chose to give Kyle away, even though they were deeply in love with him. They requested that the police locate the dog a new home. Naturally, John was both pleased and saddened by the news, but he ultimately decided to retain Kyle. John decided right away to take Kyle with him. John brought the dog that day to his flat. It was cozy and fit for a bachelor's lifestyle. John only had one wife and she worked. There was ample room for Kyle and John, who moved in together right away and became roommates. A police dog's whole existence is dedicated to continuous training and skill development in order to guard and apprehend offenders. Kyle was a seasoned canine and an absolute pro. John and Kyle were well respected because they always produced positive outcomes. They weren't idle while working. But solving crimes wasn't always simple for Kyle. He was tasked one day with tracking down a girl who had gone missing. 2 days prior, she had vanished. Kyle encountered genuine challenges for the first time, but he was moved to aid her parents when he witnessed their utter despair. Kyle used every ability and skill he has. He gave the baby's garments a good whiff and gestured that he was ready. Kyle and the police team started looking for the girl. After some time, Kyle hadn't stopped for a long distance. It looked as though there would be no success in the quest. The police started searching the location that Kyle had indicated since they trusted him. The parents, however, were spared any explanations. They said that the girl's aunt lived in this location. The girl was soon discovered in this residence. It seemed that the youngster had fled amid a fight between the parents. When the two encountered armed guys on an assignment, Kyle had acted quickly to push John out of the way of a bullet. Fortunately, nobody of them was hit by the gunshot, but Kyle's health started to suffer from the difficult circumstances. Kyle gave his all to his profession with the police. He was an excellent defender and a great lifeguard. Kyle retired at the age of 8. He was granted a serene old age as a reward for his good actions and diligence. John knew this would come eventually, of course, but the time went by too rapidly. They were happy together for 8 years. John will always remember how the dog saved his life and be eternally thankful to it captured a group of crooks with guns. They shared a great deal of memories. Although parting was excruciatingly difficult and depressing, John understood how crucial it was for Kyle. John planned an outside celebration for Kyle in an attempt to offer him one final amazing summer vacation. Kyle was given to a kind family whose kids had grown up and made the decision to vacate the property. The pair fell in love with the puppy right away. One could not help but love Kyle. He was intelligent, charming, and compassionate. He was lavished with attention by the Smith family, who frequently rubbed his tummy and behind his ears. But there wasn't enough room in the house for engaging activities, which Kyle truly required. Kyle was content in the Smith household, but he never forgot about John. The house was less congested once the couple's son moved out a year later. The family really started looking for new accommodation because they were no longer required to remain in the city. The Smiths would regularly go house inspectioning with their pet Kyle. They had great faith in his instincts. It was vital to them that they loved Kyle as much as they enjoyed the house. He gained their acceptance as a true family member, complete with the ability to vote and express opinions. The Smiths eventually discovered an old, roomy home outside of the city, which they truly enjoyed. Kyle produced the ultimate judgment. The vastness of the mansion appealed to him. Kyle was free to run and jump as much as he pleased. Furthermore, there are endlessly beautiful scenery views all around the house. Their home was close to the seaside, nestled in a valley of verdant hills. More than anything, Kyle adores going on runs with the Smiths. He was so happy doing this that he inspired Thomas to join him on combined runs. A minute later, an odd thing happened when Kyle was surveying the area and exploring some new routes. It seems that Kyle had grown disinterested in walking. The oddest thing was that he didn't appear to want to move as Thomas, who had before been able to barely keep up with him, strolled slowly next to him. To investigate any longer, Thomas made a last-ditch effort to ignore Kyle's behavioral changes, but the dog was becoming less and less energetic every day. Kyle ceased visiting the food. Then Thomas considered that Kyle would miss the city and that perhaps moving to the country was a mistake. Thomas's biggest concern, though, was that Kyle may be ill. Thomas took Kyle for a checkup at the veterinarian. To determine what the dog's health issues were, the veterinarian conducted a thorough investigation. But as it turned out, Kyle was in excellent health and wasn't sick at all. However, an amazing occurrence occurred one day. Kyle unexpectedly changed from a calm household dog to a functioning police canine while out for a stroll. Anger surged within him. Kyle skidded to a halt, sprang to attention, and stuck his nose in the dirt to start searching for anything. He was so focused on the task at hand that he failed to see Thomas. Kyle was now exploring new areas with each stroll. It was his obsession. Thomas was now able to see Kyle as a happy, active dog once more. He ventured into the heart of the jungle one day. The task was more difficult this time around than it had been in the past. He detected a strange odor but was unable to identify its source. The mystery remained unresolved, and every day Kyle's restlessness increased. It was something that required action. His need to locate the source of the odor was killing him. Thomas was required to bring back Kyle with his favorite snacks. Kyle was adamant about not following orders. Thomas had nowhere to turn. He got in touch with John, Kyle's former partner, as he didn't know what to do next. Given the length of time they had spent working together, it's possible that he had previously observed Kyle's behavior and knew exactly how to get him started again. When John noticed that Thomas had called, he became concerned. He believed Kyle was dying or seriously ill. Hearing what he did was a relief. He told Thomas that Kyle always acted in this way while he was doing an investigation, and if he discovered something, he would sit down next to it and would not move. When Thomas walked to the tree at the same spot in the forest. The tree appeared normal from one side to the other, but upon closer inspection, it was fractured and sank. It appeared strange, as though, in addition, they both want a speedy resolution to the crime. There was a skeleton in the tree, and its owner needed to be identified. Nobody could have predicted what John discovered when he walked to the tree and started to peel off the bark. John decided to contact his employer right away and tell him everything because he was so astonished by the discovery. John pulled his phone out of his pocket and began to call, but all of a sudden other criminologists were asking him to stop. It took only a quick look at each other to determine who the skeleton belonged to. Normally, identifying the owner of the bones takes at least a week, but not in this instance. It required a little while. In this case, the bones weren't genuine. They were plastic. It was someone's amazing trick for Halloween. It would be humorous if it didn't evoke such intense terror and anxiety. It was the creation of a skilled scarecrow. While John was relieved that it proved to be a false alarm, he was still concerned about Kyle. After so many years of flawless service, his companion now mistook a fake skeleton for actual bones. Perhaps he purposely did that to entice John to come to him. John glanced at his friend, who still leaped with joy at seeing him. John realized everything at that same instant. Naturally, that wasn't the skeleton. John had to chuckle. It was a really cunning ploy to get John to come visit. John's supposition was validated when he met Kyle's gaze. Curling up to his erstwhile partner, Kyle gave him a tender glance. Because he was such a clever dog, Kyle planned everything out. He was aware that John would contact him without a doubt if he played the inquiry. He discovered that the village was the ideal location for this performance after relocating there. John was very moved by Kyle's commitment. Together, they took a lengthy stroll, and throughout that trip, John and Kyle appeared to have been in the past. John assured Kyle he would see him regularly before he left. John hasn't violated his word since then. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of our videos. If you enjoyed the tale, the next video that plays on your screen will probably move you too.